Well, I think that rekindling Scottish communities is about Scottish communities learning to be listened to. It's about them both listening and learning to be listened to. It is no accident that modern Scottish land reform, which began in the 1990s, was heavily shaped by a number of us who had had experience in the global south. In my own case, I had been 4 years in Papua New Guinea, where Papua New Guineans would say to me, well, how much land has you got? I would say, none. And I remember one woman, Miriam, saying to me, how we thought that all white people were rich. How can you be rich if you've got no land? How can you be rich if you've got no land? Why have you got no land? And I said, well, because the landlord owns it all. And at that time, that was before even we had the Crofter Forestry Act. At that time, if a crofter planted trees in their croft, the trees belonged to the landlord. That's how bad it was. That's how colonized we were in Scotland. So basically, a number of us, people like Bill Ritchie up in Assynt and Mandy Haggith, people like them, people like the folks on Egg, a number of us started taking lessons from the global south. I was bringing back things that I'd been taught by Papua New Guinea communities and applying them here in Scotland. Part of my vision of how connected a community could be to the land was from having experienced it in Papua New Guinea villages, where 95% of the land was customarily owned. So, it was an amazing thing, and I got some pushback on that. I mean, I remember people saying, or it being fed back to me about people saying, he's treating us, I'm just going to say it as I had to put it back, he's treating us like we in Scotland are blacks. And I would say, well, actually, the blacks that I know, if that's the term you're going to use, are better off than we are, because they are in control of their own place. And then what I've noticed is that racism has started to soften, and there's been more and more learning between communities. I spoke about the West Papuans coming over here, but while they were over here, they also had a seminar in Stornoway about their approach to ecotourism and to village-based ecotourism. And you had people in Stornoway saying, well, we need to set up not Airbnb, but a locally held equivalent. We need to set up a locally held booking system here on this island and undercut the Airbnbs and what have you. They were picking that up from these folk in West Papua. And to me, that is just so beautiful. This is one world. And if we're going to save the world, we have to understand one world. That, by the way, is why I'm such a supporter of the United Nations Global Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. There are 17 of them. They chart out the paths we need to be following. You'll see a coloured chart with it. And with COP26 coming to Scotland, my proposal is that there should be 18 Sustainable Development Goals, because they're coming to Scotland. A golf course, I believe, has 18 holes, and the 18th hole needs to be community. Community is what we can add in Scotland.